So, this is a story about my journey to become a professional child psychotherapist. So, this was not a necessarily thought out trajectory in my life. However, um, I found myself in a good place as a result of it, and I'm grateful for that. So, I'm going to share the journey of how that happened, which began back in the day when university was free for all students. I even got a grant for some of my living costs back then. So when I was deciding what to do at university, it was not driven by how am I going to pay back my fees? How am I going to pay back my student loan? How am I going to pay my rent? Because back in those days, life was a little bit more relaxed in terms of the need to pay my way. I'm speaking from a position of privilege and resource, so I acknowledge that, and I appreciate that. So, growing up, brought up by a teacher and a computer scientist, there was a lot of freedom and creativity in my childhood. And when I got to study at college, it was driven by what I was interested in. So philosophy, communication, and politics led on to a degree in sociology. And I love the study of sociology because it's about people and how people relate to each other and how we live together or we don't live well together, how society works well or doesn't work well. What's the power? What's the oppression? How do we function in life as a collective of people? So I studied that at university. Very interesting. However, not a necessarily clear career path, laid out in front of me after that study. It was interesting. I was able to choose very interesting subjects, and I think it's always kind of been rooted in social justice for me, and how to improve the lives of everyone, really. How can everybody access some quality of life? And I think nowadays that's even more hard to see as possible, as things become more and more stratified between those that have resource and those that don't. Anyway, so I did my degree, and then I had the freedom, continued with this beautiful privilege of freedom to live in a non-pressurized way. So I spent my time making music, dancing, and working with children in after-school clubs, and DJing in a local public house in the area I was living in. So then I had some years traveling the world and living in different cultures and countries and learning new skills. And I came back to my hometown and was pondering what to do next, and wasn't quite sure, didn't really feel, well, obviously there was a bit of a urge because I was growing up and you can't just faff around forever. So I got on a bus one evening going home from visiting a friend, and it was a rainy, cold night. And there was a drunk guy that got on the bus, and I thought, oh, gosh, don't want to sit too close. He looked a bit lively. So I sat next to this woman. We got chatting, and she told me a bit about what she was up to. And one of the things she was doing was a course in the therapeutic application of the arts. And I thought, wow, that sounds interesting. That sounds like all the things I'm interested in, but using them in a useful, creative way to help other people therapeutically. So I looked into it, and I heard about this training day, and I went along, and it was amazing. There was a taster day in puppetry and art and clay, and reflecting on yourself, really, and your personal processes and your emotional strategies and defense systems. So I took the course. I carried on. I did a year of personal journeying into myself with the creative arts, with therapeutic input and in psychotherapy itself. It was brilliant. And then the opportunity came along to continue to train as a psychotherapist. I assessed my situation, my finances, and decided that this was a worthwhile challenge, and undertook it. There were 3-year training masters in child psychotherapy, and that was a number of years ago now, and it's really been a journey of continual continual self-discovery and hopefully being helpful to other people along the way. So I feel very, very lucky. I feel like the stars aligned in a serendipitous kind of way to for me to have met that person on the bus at that time, and for me to have everything that I needed to be able to embark on that journey that's brought me here today.